Hey everyone. So I'm willing to make this video real quick because I had a really interesting scenario play out to me this past Sunday, right? Now, for the last few days, I've been having to fly up because, I'm broke as hell. It's the end of the month. And, I'm one of those people who gets welfare right now because I'm trying to fight for an SSI, SSD case. I have severe mental health issues from having to live outside for over almost 300 days. And the thing is that this guy rolls up to me, right? And he says to me, hey dude, do you have like a social security number? And I'm like, yeah, duh. Why did you go work for McDonald's, bro? They're looking for people right now. And I'm like, no. And I really don't have time to get in this with you. And I could have easily gone off on him, but I really chose not to, especially after all the interactions I've had with the police over this week. That's just me getting set up for that, you know what I mean, in a sense, because I just feel like the universe, sort of works its way through everybody. And so, with that said, this guy, is like, bro, I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but you are, okay? And people don't understand this because they continuously try to make the argument that working is much better, okay? That work, in a sense, sets you free, okay? Which is what the fucking Nazis hanged up on Auschwitz, okay? This is not cool whatsoever. So, for those out there who sit there and say, well, why do you sit there and fly signs? Because you can make more money doing it. If you look at any of my videos from the past, which I may have to post them here because I don't know if I ever put them up here or not, I've made tutorials on how to panhandle, because panhandling is actually more lucrative in terms of being able to make more money. Like today, for example, I made, I think, like 30 bucks in an hour, okay? Like, you're not going to get that at a minimum wage job. So, all the bullshit arguments that people put forth, the reifications or whatever, in terms of why it is that you should work for these megalithic corporations, here's my protest as to why you shouldn't, okay? First, the McDonald's CEO makes $7,500 an hour. An hour, okay? And if he goes overtime, for example, because of the way that time and a half works here in New York, for example, because I think that they're stationed out of here. I'm not 100% certain of that, but I have to double check. But he could easily get, I think it's like $21,000 or $22,000 in overtime pay for 2 additional hours of work. Okay, so $7,500 an hour this man gets, and all the taxes that he would pay get shifted back onto his employees. Okay, all the employees, managers, associates, all that. They have to pay the burden of the tax for McDonald's. Okay, the average employee at McDonald's is making $7.25 an hour. Now I know that states have different minimums and stuff like that, so let's use New York as an example. Okay, here in New York, there was the Fight for 15. If you remember, about 5 or 6 years ago, and that's been going on for a while now. But like, it just finally started picking up steam in the media after Bernie Sanders was one of the first people to stand in line with the McDonald's workers who are calling to unionize in places like Manhattan, because cost of living there is astronomically high, and there are more McDonald's packed into Manhattan than anywhere else that you will find in the entire world. Okay, yeah, that's how many McDonald's there are just in New York City alone. Okay, it's like ridiculously high amount of locations. But anyways, so with that said, the CEO again makes all this money, and he doesn't pay out health insurance to his employees. He doesn't pay out any kind of benefits whatsoever. No retirements, no 401ks, none of that. You don't get any of that. What? It's McDonald's. So again, going by New York's pay payments and stuff like that, like in terms of their pay schedules. So Manhattan got the $15 in terms of the minimum wage because they have separate laws from us, because they're their own basic entity. Like, they're basically like DC in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, they're their own district in a way. So they have laws that sort of operate separately from New York, but as long as they play into the state's minimum, which is like 10 an hour or so, then that's fine. But this also created a huger debate about raising the minimum wage here in New York overall to $15 an hour, which they've done in other states like Washington and California. You know what I mean? So here in Rochester, the Fight for 15 came here, and basically they were going to raise it to $15 in every location that pays minimum wage by 2021, okay, by next year. And right now, I believe that the McDonald's workers are sitting between $11.75 and $12.75 an hour, okay? Here's the thing. Those locations do not give full-time hours, okay? They're only giving people part-time, okay? And because of that, and you take out the taxes of everything, it doesn't come up to enough to afford places like where I'm at. Like this apartment, this studio that I live in, for example, this costs $700 a month. If it wasn't for DSS, I couldn't afford this. I really could not. The reason I don't work is because I have mental health issues. I'm trying to win SSI and SSD right now. Like, I just can't stand being outside because of after being homeless for almost 290 days, okay, like, being outside is just like, crippling in a lot of ways. So, yeah, as far as this, like, again, this whole contention that people draw up about how, working for a corporation is better. Again, you look at a corporation like McDonald's, they're a megalithic corporation that sits here and, destroys swaths of places like the Amazon, for example, like the actual Amazon rainforest, and in order to raise, grazing lands for cattle, okay? We can't replace those trees. We cannot replace those trees whatsoever, okay? They're not going to grow back anytime soon. And the Amazon is the lungs of the world. You wonder why all this global warming is happening. You wonder why all this climate change is happening. You wonder why these things are happening, because McDonald's is pushing the accelerationism of decline. In other words, they are destroying the planet purposefully for the almighty dollar. And it is absolutely sickening. We should not be destroying the planet just so people can eat. Especially the food that they serve on top of that, which brings me to the next reason why I wouldn't work for McDonald's. Because I've worked for fast food corporations before, and I'm telling you right now that they are atrocious when it comes to the food that they serve. The stuff that they have in these food, the ingredients that they have in these foods can cause precancerous conditions, but they don't ever tell you that. They don't ever tell you the real health risks associated with things like obesity, because that would drive their profits down. If people actually knew what was in a McDonald's hamburger, they would gag. Like literally gag, okay? It's bad. It is really, really bad for you. This food that people are eating is causing their brains to rot out, okay? This is not metaphorical, this is literal. If you sat there and ate McDonald's for 40 plus years straight, just shoveling it into your face, your brain's gonna rot, okay? If you don't get diabetes first, which also will rot your brain, similar to syphilis. But anyways, it's so messed up that we have to live in a society where people think in this manner, because they think that these corporations are helping you. They're not. McDonald's doesn't care about its employees. They don't care. If they did, they would pay them a living wage. They would pay them health insurance benefits, like cover them completely for everything, dental, vision, everything, okay? Because they can afford it. The CEO can afford my rent of $700 plus the rent of 10 other people, okay? And still have $500 left over in 1 hour. 1 hour. And people sit here and say, we can't do things like have Medicare for all. We can't have housing for all. We can't have UBI. Bullshit. Especially during this fucking pandemic. Are you kidding me? It is absolutely mind-boggling that these CEOs of all these megalithic corporations, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, all of them, Bill Gates, they've all sat here and made billions of dollars off of this coronavirus pandemic, and they are sitting here and hoarding this wealth even more, whilst Americans are still starving, and they aren't getting bailed out. 800,000 people are becoming homeless as a result of this pandemic because they weren't able to afford their rents, even with their stimulus. And the government, specifically the Republicans, are sitting here and saying, we won't mint the coin, hashtag mint the coin. They won't do it. They will not give $2,000 every single month in stimulus money and forgive debt collections as well. And it's so fucking insane. It is absolutely fucking mind-boggling. So for you to sit there and tell me that I should go work for a megalithic corporation, bro, why don't you go do it, okay? Why don't you actually afford living on that type of salary? Because you can't. It's not even a salary, it's a wage, okay? Again, panhandling will pay you more as long as everything else is taken care of. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not in my position, because the only reason why I'm able to afford this place is between DSS and permanent supportive housing, okay? Because I've been chronically homeless before. No one should have to go through multiple instances or multiple episodes of being homeless in order to be able to get the help that they need to afford a place of living for themselves. Period. Not here in America. Not when there are more abandoned houses than there are homeless people. I'm not even joking. This is the whole fucked up part that people don't get when it comes down to, working for these people in terms of fast food places. They do nothing to help people. They are leeches. They take from society. They take what they want, and they don't give it back. They don't help anyone, ever. And that's the problem. People don't see these things because they're only concerned about how am I going to get by till the next day, and that's not right. As a collective society, we should not be pitting ourselves against one another so that one person could end up with all that power and that wealth. It's bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit. Alright? You all of you are worth more than bits and pieces of paper. You are worth more than the gold, all scattered across the world and up in space. You are you. You are unique. There is never going to be another one of you, just like there's never going to be another one of me. Ever. So why are you going to waste your life? Why? What's the point? So you can afford surviving? Means testing for survival is, again, bullshit. All the costs that we have for all the products that we have. With these riots going on in Minneapolis right now, we're seeing the death of capitalism in a lot of ways. We're seeing it slowly die. But people like Joe Biden, they're not going to sit there and fucking be like, well, it's not right and people should just get back to work. Fuck you, dude. And same thing with Donald Trump, except he's more of a crypto-fascist. Joe's more of a, I don't know what's the best word I want to describe to use him. He's more of a corporatist. So there's a little bit of nuance there, but not by much. He's definitely a Democrat, though, like Democrat in name only, and just like Trump is a Rhinocrat, Republican in name only. As far as like all this shit is concerned with the rioting, though, like, again, all these businesses are going to eventually shut down, like they're going to have to, and it's going to cause a lot of issues to the supply chain, and this is all happening because of Amy Klobuchar refusing to charge Officer Chauvin with murder, or even any other of the police misconduct things that he's been charged with. Like, he's done so many other things that she has declined to do, like in terms of him murdering that one Native American person whose name I haven't been able to find yet because it's been all over Twitter, but I haven't been able to look it up yet. You know, it's so heartbreaking. It really is. These types of Democrats do not care. They are neoliberal Democrats. And I try to make this distinction here because it is important. The Democratic Party is schisming right now. All right? As AOC had said before a couple months back, it's to the center of right, the Democrats, because of people like Speaker Pelosi, for example. She is moving the party more towards the right because she's more of a Dinocrat than she lets on. And Joe Biden has also led that charge as well when he used to be a senator and as vice president. Okay? These people, all these people, you know, Klobuchar, Buttigieg, Steyer, Warren even, they are not real progressives. They are faux pas progressives. They are neoliberals. Neoliberalism is sort of like neoconservatism, except it moves so far to the left that it becomes the new right, as Bill Maher once put out. And, you know, people could be like, well, fuck Bill Maher, who cares about him? No, Bill Maher is not really the issue when it comes down to his punditry, because it's not really punditry per se. With him, it's more about the fact that CBS or whoever it is controls his offices now, or is it Time Warner or whatever, I don't know which one, and so therefore they're making him push out a different narrative. He's actually being held hostage right now by other megalithic corporations, and the same is true here in Rochester, where we have Sinclair Broadcasting that controls most of the local media outlets that are pushing out all this conservative punditry. Okay, this is as I've described it before. The city is has very much a conservative element to it. It has, you know, conservatives, you know, surrounding areas and stuff like that. But it's mostly liberal inside of the city. But there's still issues, okay? Because there's not enough progressives who actually believe in the causes that we try to push. Because for us, we live in one of the most impoverished cities in America. That's why people like me panhandle, because we can't afford working at a job. Can you imagine that? Imagine not being able to work because it costs too much. Not just from a mental health perspective for me, but financially as well. I would never be able to afford this place. I would have to hold down at least 2 or 3 jobs. The economy is doing great, says Trump. Yeah, because people are overworking themselves to death. This is accelerationism. This is the decline of American society that is happening before you because the rich have gotten so old and so miscreant that they're just like, fuck it, let's just burn it all to the ground anyway. No. We can build a more sustainable planet. We can build a more sustainable country. These things are certainly possible. If people would stop standing in the way, as Joe Biden would say. If you would just get out of the way. Yeah, Joe Biden needs to get the fuck out of the way. He needs to stop sitting here and patronizing black people and asking them for their vote. Okay? You ain't black. Fuck you, bitch. You know, this is the whole problem with systemic racism that comes out because of the fact that it's not just about the color issue in terms of the color of your skin. It is the amount of your wealth. Joe Biden is so jaded by his wealth and how much he has made over the years as a senator and as vice president. He does not care. He literally does not care about the issues of poor people. If he did, If he actually did give a shit, he would adopt all of Bernie's policies and platforms. But Trump is doing that right now. He's going to be able to run scrimshaw all over Biden by the time this election comes up, if Biden is the presumptive nominee. Now, if the DNC got their shit together and would say, fuck Biden, we're not going to let him win, then yeah, that would happen. Because the one thing they don't want is a civil war. And that's pretty much where things that were happening have been going since 2016. Like, people have been predicting it. It's either going to be another Cold War or another civil war, whether it's a Cold War between Russia or a civil war here in the United States. And that's exactly what you're seeing right now. These riots are not just riots. These are rebellions. These are people who are sick and tired of a system that says, fuck you, you work for us. No, fuck you, you work for us, the people. You do our bidding. We allow you here. If you don't like that, get the fuck out of here. We don't care. We'll set up our own goddamn businesses. We'll set up shop wherever the fuck we want to. Fuck your products. Fuck your bullshit. Fuck your bottom line. Everything else in between. Fuck your kids. Fuck your spouse. Fuck your family. Fuck everything that you represent. Because you are nothing but a greedy fuck. Share. That's the beauty about my city. My city is so impoverished. They understand. And they actually do share, and they have compassion. But when you look at places like Florida, for example, they fucking hate panhandlers. New York City, they hate panhandlers. LA, they fucking hate panhandlers. San Fran hates panhandlers because of people like Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi. Yeah. And Kamala Harris. Did you know that? She used to prosecute panhandlers, even though panhandling is protected as expressive commercial speech, ever since 1993. Yeah. So much for live free and die, right? This is the whole Leviathan, again, of capitalism. Rich people have bought as many houses as they can, state houses, state senates, state assemblies, Congress, the presidency of the United States. And I sit here and say to myself, there are ways to solve this, more so than just voting, because voting is important. I'm not going to tell you to vote blue no matter who. I want you to vote for progressives down the line, because that's what we need right now. If we're going to change anything in Congress, it's going to need progressives. The reason why Trump sits here and goes on his little tantrums, as it were, and, says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm basically trying to act like a tyrant, the only thing that keeps him in check is Congress and the Supreme Court. Even the conservative justices say, no, dude, we're not going to fucking go along with whatever bullshit you've got going on here, because we don't fucking care. We uphold the Constitution. You don't. We know you don't. We can't do anything until people bring a case against you, which they're going to eventually. It's going to be another showdown, just like US v. Nixon with Trump. Okay? If we get a majority, or at least enough senators in the Congress, then the GOP are going to be frightened. Okay? They will capitulate. If we can get, there's like at least 20 seats up for election in terms of the Senate Democrats, or not Senate Democrats, but the Senate Republicans this time around. And we can win a majority. We can win a majority. We really could. And then all we would need is 67 senators to convict him and get him out of there. Same thing with Pence. Pence would get removed at the same time. Pelosi would become the president if she became speaker again, which I hope she doesn't. Hashtag Shahid for change. Seriously, Shahid Buttar, for real. Vote for him. Okay? He would become the next speaker. He would be the right person to represent Congress, because he actually is a progressive. Not Nancy Pelosi. She's sitting here and taking things out of, like, the FISA courts, for example, the 702 Surveillance Act and stuff like that. She's trying to take out provisions that allow the IC, the intelligence community, to sit here and spy on Americans warrantlessly. It's messed up. So again, all these things stem from socioeconomic disparities. This whole rant that I'm putting together here, again, it's all because of the fact that rich people have sat here and constantly pitted the poor against the poor, the middle class against the middle class, and even the upper class against the upper class. Yeah. And we have to stop doing this shit. Again, as far as what's going on in Minneapolis, burn it the fuck down. I don't care. That's Klobuchar's fault. That's all her fault. That's literally all her fault, and she will never accept responsibility for that. Do you know that? She won't. She never, ever will. Because nothing is her fault. Fuck you, Amy. You're a fucking horrible person. Don't care how many times you sat and said, I'm all over helping women and I sat in Kavanaugh's hearing Fuck you. Your vote means nothing when you let murderous scumbags like Officer Chauvin go free. So again, that's pretty much all I got at this point. fuck bullshit that people sit there and tell you, okay? Like, as far as, like, this whole pandemic and shit like that, 40 million Americans are out of fucking work right now, okay? Don't sit there and tell them to go fucking work for a megalithic corporation that's destroying the planet. In fact, don't work for any fucking megalithic corporations that are destroying the planet, period. If they're not about sustainability, if they're not about renewability, if they're not about that Green New Deal shit, hashtag Green New Deal, fuck off. And that's my TED Talk. Talk to you later.